Welcome to a Community Partners interview where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Sean Pickard, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Trina Plamondon, the Executive Director of Home Sharing Support Society, British Columbia. The Home Sharing Support Society BC, HSSSBC, is a nonprofit organization that provides professional advice and solutions for complex disability housing challenges in British Columbia. Thank you for joining us today, Trina. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's good to have you here. Now, before we get going too far about HSSSBC, tell us a little bit more about you. What is the Trina Plamondon experience? What inspired you to work at the Home Sharing Support Society BC? Why work with individuals with disabilities?
Sure. Great. Great question. So, I have been working in the disability sector for almost 38 years now. I think I started when I was a small child, I always say. And the disability sector always was just something of interest to me. So, I started out in teaching and I taught at the School for the Deaf and was in special education for a long time. I worked a lot in the housing sector, so finding homes for individuals with disabilities who lived in staffed homes or independent living. And I spent a big portion of my career in working with organizations who help with employment and housing and all of those sorts of pieces. Through my work, I've worked in children's and adults. And one of the things that I wanted to do was affect change at a provincial level. So from doing frontline work, I moved over to government where I supported teams to write policy in the disability sector, both for children's and adults. And I've spent the majority of my life working with people with disabilities in the vulnerable sector, and I think that it's just it's such important work, and I get just as much as I give to it. So that's the quick overview.
You have had quite an accomplished career then, a couple different locations, a lot of, what's the proper word here, input for government, things of that nature. So that is a lot going on there, Trina. Now, while I was researching for this interview, I came across a couple of things on the website that really caught my attention.
Okay.
The first one I'd like to talk about is you have a tab regarding services that you provide at HSSSBC. Can we talk about some of those services? What is available to folks?
Absolutely. And so, first, I'll just give a little bit of context around the Home Sharing Support Society BC and where we play. Home sharing is a arrangement where an adult with a disability will live with someone in community, a family, an individual, and in return they receive some services. And so, home sharing provides a solution to some of the housing challenges, especially for people with disabilities, and especially in British Columbia, where housing can be quite challenging and the cost of living can be high. And so families and individuals get matched, they live together, they live in community just as everyone else. And the Home Sharing Support Society is there to support the entire home sharing community. And so that could be individuals who want to learn more about home sharing. It could be families who are interested in the different opportunities that are available for their children as they're aging. And just like everyone else, they want to move out and have their own space and do all of the things that everyone else does when they grow up. And families sometimes need some support and navigation in what is available and what would be the right choice for their family members. In addition, we work with other agencies who are coordinating home sharing services, and whether that is doing the arrangements or helping find respite providers. In addition, we also support our funders, and part of that work is doing research and recommendations and diving in deep into some of the what could be challenges that are currently occurring in the community, or what could we do in the future. Some of the services that I think that are most relevant for the disability community in general, as well as the home sharing community, is that we provide a lot of navigation services. I think that disability services and just life in general is really complex, and government systems are not easy to navigate. And you never really know where to start. And I would say that our team spends a lot of time talking to the disability community in one on one consultations and providing expertise and support as to what kind of housing could I get? What do I need to know when my When my son or daughter turns 19, what things should I be thinking about for the future? Right up to now, my child is reaching older adult, and that's another transition. And so, what can we do there? We provide training for the home sharing providers and respite providers, everything from the Open Future Learning platform, which is a platform dedicated to the disability sector, to harm reduction training. Really, I look at us as a one stop shop. And if people need some support, they have some questions, they need resources, tools, or information, we do our best to try and make sure that everyone leaves with a little bit more than they came with.
That is a lot going on there. And there's a couple of things that really caught my attention here. Can we start with challenges in the community, Trina? Can you talk to me about some of the challenges that you've come across with this, with the Home Sharing Support Society?
Absolutely. I think that housing in general is a challenge for people with disabilities across the board, not just in British Columbia. I think finding accessible suites for individuals, communities where they can belong and feel safe and contribute to their communities is a challenge. In British Columbia, in particular, the cost of living is a really big challenge, and you can imagine that a person with a disability, typically in British Columbia, would be somewhere around, we'll say, $1,800 to $2,000 a month, and a one-bedroom apartment, I think the average is $2,100 a month. And when you want to move out and become an adult and do all of those things that they see their peers doing, this is a huge barrier. But then you add the complexity or the layer that they might need some supports as well. And so those supports could be as simple as like daily living supports with around medication or shopping. And I think that that probably is the biggest challenge. I think that the other challenge in the not just in the home sharing community, but it really is around that housing and daily living and being part of our communities is that systems are have a few options for living in community, and not all of them are a fit for everyone. And there's not a lot of flexibility, as you can imagine, because systems are big wieldy beasts that need to have a lot of support to make sure they're being implemented appropriately and that people are monitoring them appropriately. And I think that that is probably the other challenge, and that is one of the things that we really are deeply interested in is how do we ensure that people are living lives of their choosing? And that means being able to pick homes that they wanna live with. That means pick who they wanna live with, have jobs of their choosing, and I think that the thing that I say the most is, "What does home mean to you?" And when I ask that question, "What does home mean to you?" I think inevitably, no matter who I ask, they say, well, it's a space that is my own. It's a space that I chose. It's I live with people who I chose and made me and I'm happy in that. And so I think that the biggest challenge is how do we support people to have lives of their choosing and live in homes rather than spaces that were provided to them because there were no other choices.
And that's a huge difference there, actually living in a home versus just a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to wrap something that you had mentioned previously into my next question. I don't know if I'm going the right way here or not, Trina, so please feel free to correct me on this one. Because what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the resource tab that you have on your website, but you also mentioned the Open Future platform. Is that one of the resources?
Certainly. So we'll take it in two spots. So first, we'll start with the training under Open Future Learning. Open Future Learning is a disability platform for training. It is based out of the UK, and it has what I always call the heavy hitters in the disability sector. So all of those people who are really well known and really well respected in the disability community. And right now, I think they're up to about 1,500 different modules, everything from daily living skills to working as a team to you name it, and it is in there. And the reason we love Open Future Learning is one, it's really high quality and it's accessible 24/7, 365. And so the Home Sharing Support Society offers free access for the home sharing community to the platform to support people to be able to receive training, based at, when they need it. And it's not always easy to attend a day training, but with the platform, they can access it anytime and they just need to be able to access a computer. They could do it on their phone. The other thing I love about Open Future Learning is that it also can be what is side by side learning. And so If you were a home sharing provider, you could do some of the modules with the individuals you support, and then you both are learning together. Gives the individuals an opportunity to be able to ask questions along the way and whatever they're curious about. And so it's a really great platform. It's been around for a long time, and we make it free for those who are in the home sharing community here. The next question you had asked about was our resources section. And one of the things that we found is that, and I've found actually throughout my career, is that information is across so many different sources. It's really difficult to find information in one place. And the dream, I guess, would be the behind our resources section would be that you can go here and find information that you need for the home sharing community. And that again is for all of those people who we support, families and individuals, service providers, home sharing providers. And in there, you can find information about everything to do with home sharing. You can find information about service providers. You can find out who is coordinating services in the home sharing community if you wanted to reach out. And we try to ensure that we include cultural relevancy and everything that anyone would, like, I'm curious about. We're hoping that you will find it. The other piece is as we're doing research and we're permitted to release that openly to the public, we try and put that research as well into our home sharing data bank, as I refer to it, so that people can have access to it and learn from what we learn.
So it's really a source of any information you could really want regarding home sharing an individual with a disability.
Yes, and I would say the focus is more on home sharing, and one of the big pieces in there is the guide to home sharing. And within there, one of the reasons we created this resource section was information for the home sharing community in particular is really across many sources, and it's difficult to find. And so we've tried to centralize that into one place. And when you go to the guide to home sharing, you can just find everything that you need. But what I love most about it is that it is built based on what comes in from our community. So if a family member wanted to know about the Office of the Public Guardian and Trustee, we would reach out. We would make sure that we get information from the source. And then we would make sure that there is a article related to that within our guide so that people can find that information. I love that it's built from what is being asked within the community because it's driven from community versus the other way around.
That is a thing of beauty right there, being driven by the community. And I'm going to say there's a lot going on here in the community for HSSSBC. I've heard a lot about people getting training, for example, with the Open Future platform and having individuals that are sharing their home learn with the individuals that are in their home. So there's a lot going on there. Now, let's go for a second, and there's something that really caught my attention, and I need to know about it, Trina.
Okay.
What are the HSP awards?
Oh, fantastic question. Great job. So one of the things that the HSSSBC, as I refer to it as, wanted to do is we wanted to celebrate home sharing providers. Home sharing providers open up their homes and they're providing real benefits to our community across the province. And they often are little unsung heroes. I don't know that community members, one, know about home sharing, two, ever thought deeply about what happens when a person with a disability wants to move out and is an adult. And three, they really don't know what a home sharing provider is and the great work that they do. So this was our second annual Home Sharing Provider Awards. We started it last year. And the goal is to celebrate those people who've been doing really great work across our communities in home sharing. We have people who have been providing services for over 20 years. We have people who've just started out and have only been doing it for 8 months, but everyone's saying, man, they're just so fantastic. And nominating them. And so this year we celebrated 4 people, a rising star, and that's someone who's new to home sharing, the Inspiration Award, because they are just so inspirational to the home sharing community and the work that they're doing, a long-term service award, and then, of course, the Home Sharing Provider of the Year. And that person received 4 nominations this year from not only the people that they support, but the families and the people that coordinate services. And they had been nominated last year as well. And so we were really excited to celebrate home sharing providers and really just thank them for their work because it often goes unnoticed.
That is a thing of beauty. Now, I don't want you to feel like I'm throwing you under the bus here, Trina, but do you have the names handy? Can you tell us who the award winners were this year?
Absolutely. And so the four award winners, the Rising Star was Michelle Tabian. The Inspiration Award was Melissa Hyland. The Long Term Service Award was Terry Dobbin. And the Home Sharing Provider of the Year was Jana Fraser. Clapping for myself off the top of my head, just being able to pull it up. That's how important the awards were for me.
That is a thing of beauty. And I think we're going to add some applause here when we actually put this together because those folks deserve it. Now, when it comes to services at HSSSBC, are there any restrictions such as age, disability type, family members only? And is there a difference between the restrictions on the homeowner versus the guest? How does that
I see.
work?
Great question. Home sharing can happen in many different ways. The only restrictions for a home sharing provider, for example, would be that, of course, yes, we want people with background and experience, and similar to anyone else who's looking for a role. Home sharing providers are considered an independent contractor. But for the home, you could rent, you could own, you could be in an apartment, you could be in a duplex, you could have a laneway. The thing about home sharing is that it's based on the individual's preferences and needs. And so each individual is a little bit different. Some might want to live more independently, some prefer to be really well integrated into the family. So I wouldn't say that there are restrictions per se, but yes, I think those typical things that you would find for any typical employment in general would be also part of the home sharing. For individuals, you would have to be qualified, of course, for Community Living British Columbia funding, and that is the people who fund disability services generally across the province. You would need to be an adult, and other than that, I don't know that there would be really any restrictions for individuals with disabilities.
Excellent. So it's a little bit of, oh, you need help? Well, let's see what we can do. I love
Absolutely.
that. Now, this next question is one of my favorites here, Trina, okay? And the reason it's one of my favorites is because it really allows us to see some of the work that you folks do there.
Mhm.
So, without using any names, without identifying anybody, can you share a success story with me? What happened when supports were put in place and someone asked for help?
Oh man, that's a tough one, especially without wanting to divulge person's private information. Let's start with an easy one that isn't person related, but organizational, and it'll kind of give you an idea of the depth and breadth of our services. So from time to time, those agencies that are coordinating services need to work with some of our government systems. WorkSafe BC would be one. And from time to time, they come to us because a decision has been received that they feel was not actually in keeping with what they think should have happened. So we work with fund agencies, and we might help navigate the services, bring together meetings, have conversations. And what went from a very negative result to brought it to a positive result. And I can't give a lot of information about that, but what happens is that sometimes people may be denied coverage for not really understanding how home sharing works, and it's really can be complicated, and it doesn't fit in a box nicely. I can help coordinate meetings with our various partners to have conversations to ensure that one, provincial policies are being applied consistently, and two, that people really understand the home sharing model and the nuances about how it operates to ensure that people are receiving services. So we've had a few successful outcomes for agencies. For individuals, I often have individuals who call me and they're just really curious about home sharing. And they hear a lot of rumors in the community and their friends have ideas about it, but they'll call us up and they just really want to know, like, what is home sharing and what is someone else's perspective? What are the pluses and minuses? I would say that we've had both on both sides where people have found successful home sharing arrangements. And there have been others who said, hey, yeah, like I'm pretty good where I am living independently. And I think that I'm okay. I actually don't need a home sharing arrangement. For families, we had one family who had a completely accessible home, and it was a huge deal. It's not a lot of accessible homes out there. It was in a smaller community, had tracking and all of the things that you need when you have an individual in a home that might need a little bit more supports. They were moving and they didn't want the home to go to just the typical general population. I don't know how else to say that. And because they knew that all of the work that they had done to get that home accessible would be taken out and it would just be transformed back into a typical living situation. Through our networks and spreading the word, we were able to find someone who did have a disability who was able to purchase the home. And that home did not just go back to regular population, I guess is the word I'll use now. And then I think the final piece would be for our home sharing providers. I have a lot of home sharing providers who call me. And one of the reasons we were created as an organization or a society was because there was no impartial third party or arm's length organization that could take these inquiries on where the home sharing provider didn't feel like they were talking to the people who funded them or were in charge of their monitoring, or it just didn't give them really the safest place to be able to have honest conversations without feeling like it's going to be recorded somewhere and then it might affect something in the future. I've had many home sharing providers come to me where we just work through problems, we work through challenges, we give really good advice. I can reach out to all of our partners and our experts and get advice in a confidential way. So I'm not using names, I'm not telling locations, and I can just get really good information and I can give unbiased thoughts about the situation. And I would say I can't give a lot of details because it is personal, but I can say I've had many successful results by doing that work.
That sounds like a lot of hoops to jump through, but something that would be very satisfying at the end of the day. I have to be honest with you, Trina. Sounds like a lot going on there.
It is. When you have a really broad mandate, you catch a lot in your net, but it also keeps things really exciting.
It makes them interesting, that's for sure. Now, this is one of my favorites here, and this is going to tell us a lot about you, Trina, okay?
Okay.
So, what is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be, and how do we stop it?
Oh, I would say for me, the thing that I see over and over and over again is that people who work with people with disabilities do not always appreciate that they are training learned helplessness. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you the example I typically use with my teams. If you're going to a doctor's appointment with an individual person with a disability because they need to see the doctor, and you walk into the doctor's office and you both sit down, and the doctor immediately addresses the staff. My expectation would be that you redirect the doctor to talk to the individual and that the individual gets comfortable talking about what their challenge might be, why they're there for the appointment, and learns to use their own voice. I always say that we need to work our way out of a job and that our job is to ensure that people with disabilities are growing their independence so that they can take care of themselves. And I think sometimes our big hearts and we're kind and we want to help people, but what we're really doing is preventing them from learning, doing, being, and growing up into being able to be independent.
It is a huge difference there for being able to be independent versus having those people that think they're helping. Yes, that is a huge difference there. Now, when it comes to running an organization like HSSSBC, obviously you've got to, do a little things such as fundraisers or just keeping people interested, get the community together for something, some kind of event. So are there any events coming up for HSSSBC?
Oh, I would say our Home Sharing Provider Awards is our biggest event of the year. One of the things that I didn't talk about the HSSSBC is that we're a really new organization that was brought in to support the home sharing community. So we've only been alive, as I refer to it, for 3 years. October 7th was our 3-year anniversary. And so some of those plans for the future is how do we do more events and get more people engaged? I would say that most of the work that we're doing is one-on-one consultations and engagements and just getting out there and meeting people, going to events, I would say we spend a lot of time supporting other people's events, and so you'll see us at, last night was the Inclusion Art Show here in Vancouver, and it's always a great opportunity to go out and see artwork by disability artists from across the province. I think that would probably be the most you right now and plans for the future.
Sounds really interesting to me, and I have to say happy anniversary.
Thank you.
An inclusive art show, that has caught my attention. I would like to hear a little bit more about that. What was going on there?
Oh, it's great. And they've been running their disability art show for Possibilities here in British Columbia for a very long time. And it's just so well run. And so you come in and they've had to grow. And so they're in much bigger space in the Roundhouse for those of you who know Vancouver. And they have art on all the walls. They have ceramic, they have jewelry, they have people playing music. And all of it is provided by people with disabilities. And so you can find the most amazing art. I will say I go every year and my walls are getting really full because the art is so fantastic. You just can't help but bring home lots of pieces. Yesterday was no exception. Some great artists out there. Alec, oh, he had some great art that I was really interested in yesterday. And people who are making cards, you name it, you can find it. It's an opportunity for the community to just really celebrate, and it's come together in a great way. There's food, there's music, there's art. How can you go wrong, right?
I think I'm going to have to head out to Vancouver next year just to check this out.
Yeah, you should.
Now, if someone wants to become a member or volunteer of HSSSBC, what's the process? Now, I would imagine we've got a couple different ways here. Someone who is looking for home sharing versus someone who wants to share their home. So there's going to be two different paths, I would imagine. Let's talk about those processes.
Absolutely. So if an individual is interested in being in a home, like having a home sharing arrangement, their first step would be with Community Living British Columbia, just expressing that interest, and they start the ball rolling. Individuals will have the opportunity to meet with prospective home sharing providers and the agencies, and depending on who they match with, who they're comfortable with, it's a process. For home sharing providers, there is prospective home sharing providers. They have a couple options. They can reach out directly to service providers or agencies who are coordinating home sharing services and just call them up, send them an email, say, I'm really interested in doing home sharing. I really would like to be a home sharing provider. Are you coordinating? Do you have any open positions right now? Not all agencies are always have spots available. And so you have to just kind of connect with different agencies around to see who has active roster. Many do, but from time to time they are all full. The other option is you can come to our website, and if you go to our website at homesharingbc.ca, you will find that you can fill out a form. It's called an expression of interest form. It tells us a little bit about the prospective home sharing provider, the makeup of the home, who do you live with, and we use that list. We share it out with agencies and our funders just to let them know of people who are interested in becoming home sharing providers. If individuals, just general public, are interested in working with us, we have so many opportunities. If you want to volunteer, you want to support us with marketing, or you would like to support us with any of our training, or you would just like to connect and find out how your skills would match with some of the work that we're doing. And we're always happy to make connections and accept volunteers. There's always a lot of work and never enough hands to go around.
What is the one thing that everyone needs to know about the Home Sharing Support Society BC?
Oh, I would say we spent a lot of time thinking about like that one phrase, and that one phrase is we're here for you. So if you're in the home sharing community and you have a question, you need some information, you need tools, you just want to have a conversation, we're here for you.
I love that. I love that. Now, if listeners are looking for more information, Trina, how do they get a hold of you? What's your 1-800 number, website? How do people reach out?
Absolutely. You can email us at info@homesharingbc.ca. You can call us at 604-243-2430, or you can hit us up on our website, www.homesharingbc.ca.
Well, we've come to the end of our time here, Trina. Would you like to say goodbye to the folks at home?
I would. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was lovely to connect with everyone. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'm really excited because the Blue Jays are in the World Series. So hopefully people will watch some baseball today. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Trina. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Trina Plamondon, the Executive Director of Home Sharing Support Society, British Columbia. That's all the time we have for now, folks. I'm Sean Pickard. Until next time, bye for now.